There is a psychological trap so common, so universally destructive, that almost everyone watching this has fallen into it. It is the illusion of shared history. The belief that because someone was your first love, they must be your forever love. For nearly a decade, Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez didn't just date. They built an empire of codependency while the entire world watched. This wasn't just a romance. It was a globally televised masterclass in the toxic loop. Today, we deconstruct the anatomy of a relationship that had to die so the individuals could survive. The blueprint began in 2010. They were teenagers, rich, beautiful, and completely isolated by their own massive fame. When you exist in a reality that no one else understands, finding someone inside that same bubble feels like finding oxygen. But here is the architectural flaw of young love under a microscope. You stop developing as an individual and start developing strictly as a unit. They didn't have the chance to build their own internal foundations. They used each other as load-bearing walls. Justin himself diagnosed this exact structural failure years later. In a shockingly self-aware interview with Complex magazine in September 2015, he outlined the exact moment the foundation cracked. Your full identity can't be in that person. My identity was in her. Her identity was in me. When stuff would happen, I would lose my freaking mind, and she would lose her mind, and we would fight so hard because we were so invested in each other. When your identity is entirely outsourced to a teenager, what happens when that teenager inevitably makes a mistake? Total psychological collapse. By 2013, the initial structure had collapsed, but instead of clearing the rubble and moving on, they entered the most dangerous phase, the PR war. The relationship was no longer a private sanctuary. It was public currency. They began communicating through billboard hits, Instagram captions, and paparazzi setups. The heart wants what it wants. Sorry. Love yourself. They were monetizing their own heartbreak, and this created an echo chamber. When you constantly sing about someone, talk about them in interviews, and see millions of fans begging for you to reunite, you trick your own brain. You confuse nostalgia with destiny. Listen to Justin on The Ellen DeGeneres Show in November 2015, actively feeding the illusion. We have a lot of history together, and I am sure it could possibly happen. I think we both got to do some soul-searching ourselves, but I just want her to be happy. Stop right there. Before we watch them fall into the final fatal trap, you need to make a choice. If you have ever stayed in a relationship way past its expiration date, hit the like button right now. If you want the psychological blueprints to make sure you never make that mistake again, subscribe to this channel. We are building stronger foundations. Now, let's look at the relapse. Late 2017, the ultimate relapse. The bike rides, the hockey games, the internet exploded. But from an architectural standpoint, this was a disaster waiting to happen. Why? Because they rebuilt a house on the exact same rotten foundation. We return to toxic exes because the human brain is wired for familiarity, not for happiness. During times of stress, your brain craves the dopamine hit of the known entity, even if that entity is chaotic. You aren't missing the person, you are missing the chemical high of the cycle. But time doesn't fix incompatibility. Without profound individual therapy and complete behavioral change, returning to an ex is just reading the same book and expecting a different ending. Within months, the 2018 reunion shattered, and this time, the emotional toll was permanent. The aftermath of the toxic loop requires a brutal, honest autopsy. Selena eventually had to face the reality of what those years actually were. Not a fairy tale, but a cycle of psychological damage. In a 2020 interview with Lulu Garcia Navarro for NPR, she finally categorized the dynamic for what it became.
I found the strength in it. It's dangerous to stay in a victim mentality. I do feel I was a victim to certain abuse. I had to find a way to understand it as an adult. Justin moved on. Selena found her peace. The spell was broken. So, what is the ultimate takeaway for your own life? What is the solution when you feel the pull of your own toxic loop? First, recognize that shared history is not a substitute for present-day respect. Just because someone knew you at 16 does not mean they are qualified to handle you at 26. Second, the no-contact blueprint. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. You must remove the external stimuli. Unfollow, block, silence the echo chamber. True love shouldn't feel like surviving a war zone. It should feel like coming home. If your foundation is cracked, stop trying to paint the walls. Tear it down and build something new.